Hi everybody, this is Shujat Mubarak, and in today's session we are going to discuss with you certain basics aspects of supply chain management. Primarily in this session we'll be learning about what the supply chain management is, and at the end of the session I hope that you will be able to define what the supply chain management is. Beside that, you would also be able to understand the supply chain processes. Likewise, you would be also able to discuss and describe what are the various objectives and the elements of supply chain management. And finally, you would also be able to understand and apprehend the various characteristics of the benchmark supply chain, which we call it as AAA, our agility, adaptability, and alignment supply chain. So let's start with you just see this. There are three pictures on the slide. There's a jacket, Apple, and a mobile phone. Once we consume or once we use these products, have you ever heard or have you thought about the way these products have come to us? For example, this jacket. Can you imagine that this jacket, which is made of the cow leather, how many processes this jacket in fact passed, or this went through in order to be with you and you can consume? This might have been the skin of a cow, which was later on which would have been slaughtered. Then the skin or the hide of the cow would be processed by the tannery. So it would have passed through the various layers of the wholesalers and retailers, and then it could have reached to you. It means that there is a whole process. That process have been in fact, or this jacket have been gone and through that particular process in order to reach to you. Likewise, this Apple. So this Apple could have taken the various process. Would have sowed the seed, and then the plant would be there, and then from the plant the apples would be plucked and packed, and from the farms maybe it could have been transported to the city, and then it off from the markets and through the various channels it could have reached to you, and the same is to the mobile phone. So all the processes which have been or which were associated with these products in order to reach to us, can we name those processes? All the various integrated activities, all those networks, all those efforts, somewhere the product would have been stored, somewhere it would have been transported, and all that. So, in fact, that's what we call it supply chain. So, the supply chain were, or it is, the processes which remains interconnected, are through which we get certain products or services. So let me just give you a very crude definition of the supply chain management, which obviously I've taken from MIT's SC1 course, and the definition is: the two or more parties linked by a flow of resources, typically material, information, and money, so that ultimately fulfill a customer's request. So three things are coming here, that when two or more parties are interlinking with each other, they're trying to collaborate with each other in order to satisfy, in order to fulfill a customer's demand. And the result is that there are the three flows. Number one is information. Customer is getting the information about a product, and customer is also sharing the information about his requirements. Number one. Number two, once the informations are being shared, and once the customer is after taking the information, is satisfied from a product, the product is, or the material is being transferred to, or a material is being sold to or given to the customer. So the process number two, process number one was information, process number two is material, and then the process number three is obviously sometime after getting the product, customer in return is giving money, and most of the time the first money or finance is given by the customer, and then the product is flowing. So principally we can see that the three kind of flows are involved in any transaction of supply chain. Number one is information, number two may be material, and number three may be money. So these three flows are there. So the management of these flows is a fundamental part of supply chain. Let me go a bit more detail, and I can present to you the three various definitions of the supply chain. But before that, I would like to demonstrate to you a kind of maybe a graphical representation of the supply chain or the supply chain activities. You can just see the left part, which we call it the upstream supply chain, which is showing the first tiers of the suppliers of the companies, and then the second tier suppliers of the companies, right? So the company is getting raw material from the supplier, and those suppliers get the raw material from their suppliers, and likewise this cycle remains to the link to those suppliers which are extracting the material from extracting something from the land, or they are growing and then they are giving to one supplier and then to the other. So after getting the products from the supplier, then company is processing that particular raw material through the various stages, and then that raw material is converted into a product, and then again that product is pushed from the factory to the wholesalers and then retailers, and then it goes on, that product goes on to the customer. So this is a kind of a snapshot of the whole supply chain processes, and in this process you could see that some of the arrows are upward, some of the arrows are downward. You can see that information, planning and activities and integration is across the supply chain. Likewise, you can see that returns and recycle, in a lot of cases the products are being returned to the company. Sometimes it happens that we are getting the products which have already been used by the customers getting back. There's a concept of the circular economy. We'll be discussing maybe in the later on in the detail about that. And then you can also see the products and service flow. So there are three arrows which are in fact flowing all those this supply chain processes. So after knowing this, I hope that now I am able to present to you the formal definition of the supply chain, which has been given by the three famous institutes, or the three famous institutions or organizations which have been dealing with the supply chain, and which in fact are the kind of the apex bodies of supply chain. So first, if we come up from the upper first definition of supply chain, which has been provided by CSCMP, they in fact call supply chain as the planning and management of all activities involving sourcing and procurement, conversion, and all logistic management activities. So they basically explain supply chain as a process or the activity which involves right from the acquisition of raw material, after its conversion, transformation, and then handing over the product to the customer. So that is called supply chain. So two aspects here are important. The first is the planning and management, and the two is activity. So it's if somebody says me that what is the crux of this definition, so I would say that it is planning and management of all activities. This is what, according to CSCMP, this is what supply chain is. Okay, now we move on to the definition, which is a bit comprehensive, provided by the International Institute of Supply Chain Management. They have in fact added one element more in the definition. According to the experts at ISCM, the design and the management of seamless and value-added processes, right? Design and management of the seamless and value-added processes across the organizational boundaries to meet the real need of end customers. So obviously the real need of end customer is there. They have added something, the design and the management, and instead of activities, they are focusing upon the seamless and value-added processes across organizational boundaries to meet the real need of the end customer. Then the third definition is, in fact, I'll be having a brief discussion on these three definitions by comparing, but first I want you to know that how the apex bodies of supply chain are defining it. So last but obviously not the least, Association of Production and Inventory Control Society, they present the supply chain in a way that it's a design, planning, execution, control and monitoring of supply chain activities with the objective of creating net value, building a competitive infrastructure, leveraging worldwide logistics, synchronizing supply with demand, and means using performance and measuring performance globally. So this is what Apex is talking about, the supply chain. So let's have a dissection of these three definitions, and let's compare all these three definitions and what is a takeaway of these three definitions of supply chain. So first, for example, if we just see the first definition, that's a planning and management of all activities. I told you that that's the crux of the first definition. The second is about the design and management of seamless value added processes. So in the first is the management and the activities. So the same thing is present in the second definition, but it has been elaborated more. That's the design and management of seamless and value added processes across organizational boundaries. And the third is again the design, planning and execution, control and monitoring. So that which was there in the first definition, planning and management, now it has been expanded to the design, planning, execution, control and monitoring of the supply chain activities. So if I see, and if I that deduce from these three definitions that what is supply chain, or what as to how I can define the supply chain, so it would be that management and integration of a number of goods and services activities among supply chain participants to improve operating efficiencies, number one, quality and customer service among the collaborating organizations. So it means that supply chain is all about management and the planning of the various activities, and obviously in these activities there are the various organizations involved there. So planning and management of the various activities and integration and coordination among all those organizations who are involved in this process in order to deliver a product to end user, but not only to deliver, how to deliver in a way that the product is of the quality product, the cost of the product, it's cost efficient, and whole the process of the supply chain, the process was also efficient. The process, in fact, the proceeded the product in the minimum time it could. So that's what we call it, the supply chain management. So again, to repeat, the supply chain management is the management and planning of all activities, and then coordinating and integrating all the organizations involved in that activity in order to deliver the end product in a, obviously to the right customer at the right time, at the right place, in the quality, at the right quality, right? So this is what we call it, the supply chain management. Having that in mind, that what is supply chain management, let's proceed further in order to see that what are the various processes, or what are the various steps, or what are the various pillars of supply chain. That, for example, if I'm talking about the activities, if I'm talking about the processes, from where does this process start? From where this process end? Or it's a cyclical process, from where the process of supply chain is starting with. So the next slide is talking about that. So yes, the process of supply chain in fact starts from the first pillar we talk about, the plan. Now what is plan? The planning is, it is to plan about how much our customer is demanding, or what is the demand, or what is the need of our customer, and what are our resources, and to what extent we can fulfill the need or demand of our customer. That's the number one aspect of the supply chain. So it means that the planning is the first part of supply chain. So even that, now some might be thinking that, okay, this planning is done when we are starting a new business. So why a company which is that just already operating in the business, why there's a need of planning for that particular company? My answer is that company is in dire need of planning. Why? Because nobody knows about future. So for example, if I'm producing the cell phones, and this is the beginning of a new year, so what I have to do in the planning? First I have to see that, okay, what could be the demand of cell phone in the next 1 year, or maybe I would be looking for the next 5 years, right? So in the planning, I'm looking for the demand of this cell phone, for example, for the next year. Then I am comparing that demand with my resources, that how much human resource I have, how much inventory I have, how much rest of all of the storage capacity, production capacity, and all that. So what I'm doing, I'm comparing the demand with the internal resources. After comparing demand of my product with the internal resources, I would be coming up with a certain number. That number I would be able to produce to fulfill the customer's demand. Obviously, for example, the demand of a product is a 10 million unit. But once I look into my resources, I could find that I can hardly produce a million unit. So what should I do? So obviously, if I want to proceed with the same capacity, I have to produce the 1 million units. I cannot cater the rest of the 9 million units. Or maybe in the long term, I have to plan for that. I have to expand my business activities, and then I'll be able to meet the demand of the whole of my population or whole of the target market. So this art of comparing market demand with our internal resources, again I repeat, this process or this art, or even you call it a science of comparing the demand of a product or demand of the various products of a company with the resources. So once we compare and contrast and we come up with a certain number that we need to produce, and that could be what we can produce and what we can send to the market, or we can sell to the market. So that is one part of planning. That is a kind of I say that is the first most important planning facet. So and this is the first pillar of supply chain. That is, we call it as a plan. So once the planning is done, I would be discussing in the coming sessions about there are various approaches of planning, including the collaborative planning, forecasting and replenishment, CPFR, used by the Walmart, and there are a lot of other companies who are doing different kinds of planning. But obviously this is not the right time to discuss, but we'll be discussing a lot about that as to how we can improve the planning, or especially the demand planning of an organization. Normally in the organization, especially in the pharmaceuticals, it is also called S&OP, sales and operational planning. So one way or other they are the same thing. So once we have planned that how much product we have to cater by comparing the resources, so then we can get to know that how much raw material we would require, how much human resource we would require, how much financing we will require in order to fulfill that particular targeted planned amount of quantities which we have planned to deliver to the customer. So then in the second step, it comes the make. So the plan is all of what we were sitting in our laptops, our computers, we were discussing. It was all of what we discussed, what we had in our computers. And then once we're putting that in practice, once we are putting that in paper, then we start it, as I call it, sourcing. Sourcing means, source is in fact to buy a raw material. So once we have planned that we have to produce, for example, 1 million units, in the sourcing stage, we are in fact going to buy the raw material in order to produce the 1 million units. Right? And in the planning stage, we also do one more thing. Let me explain as well, that once we have already decided that, okay, this amount of quantity we have to produce, then we do plan that what amount of raw material we require, what amount of kind of equipment we require in order to support our machines, right? And what amount of the other things we require, supplies and all that, which would be required while producing this certain amount which we have planned. So then whatever we have decided and whatever we have come up with, that okay, this raw material and these a list of the products, these are required by us, and this we need to buy from the market. Then obviously our supply chain department comes into action and they start sourcing. So in fact, sourcing, normally the people call it sourcing as only the buying a material, but to me and as per a lot of other textbooks and the practice, sourcing is a very broader term. It includes the selection of the supplier, from where you're getting the material, number one. Number two, of course, buying the actual product or service from the supplier. And number three, maintaining the relationship with that supplier according to the supplier's importance, right? So again, I repeat that the sourcing has the three further elements or dimensions. Number one is it's the selection of supplier to buy a product or service. Number two, buying actually product or service from the supplier, that's a process executing buying. And number three is relationship management, right? So that is the sourcing. So now whatever that a list would have come from after the production, whatever being shared with the supply chain department or with all the relevant departments. On the basis of that, the different suppliers would be sourced, different suppliers would be selected, or upon the certain criterias. Obviously, this again we'll discuss that what are the various criterias to select the supplier. It's supplier selection is not like it's an ordinary exercise that we are going and we are just being given a list of suppliers and we are selecting among them one supplier. It is a very comprehensive exercise, in fact. So I'll be discussing that in the later lectures. So selection of supplier, then buying. Again, buying is also a very comprehensive process. How we have to negotiate, what's the price determination process, what would be itself a buying process, what is the procurement process, that we'll also discuss. And then relationship management, a comprehensive, again, a topic. So in the sourcing, there are the three steps: selecting supplier, buying or executing in the right transaction, buying from the supplier, and then having a relationship with that. So this is called the sourcing. After sourcing, once we have done the sourcing, it means that the raw material is there in our premises, or at least we have already synced with our suppliers to deliver the certain raw materials and products and services according to the schedules which have been already discussed. So after sourcing, now there's the process of production, right? Then in the production is obviously the production schedules, and then the raw material is pushed and the services are provided according to the various production schedules, and the product is made or manufactured or developed. And then once the product is developed, again it comes to the distribution of that product, and with the help of the various distribution channels, various logistical approaches, somewhere we are storing the product and then getting that product delivered with the help of the trucks and with the help of maybe the various other our logistical or transportation resources. We do tend to deliver that product to the customer, right? So this is the fourth pillar, deliver. And then based on the delivered products, what happens that we take the feedback of the customer that, okay, do you face any problem in terms of the delivery of the product, in terms of the quality of the product, or in terms of what? And then again that feedback is used for the demand planning, and again demand is accordingly planned, then it's sourced and made and delivered. So there's a kind of a cycle which remains continuous: plan, source, make, deliver, and then taking feedback. And again, so these, you can say that these are the essential processes of a supply chain, so which are in you can say that this is a very simplified depiction of the supply chain processes. I hope that you would have at least could have understand about the various processes about the supply chain. But nevertheless, if you are not getting anything, you can maybe refer to the book, that is the Supply Chain Management, a Balanced Approach. About its author is the Wisner. Moving on, that's once we have understood that what the supply chain processes are, there comes one question in our mind, and in fact I think it should be a pertinent question, that why supply chain management? These processes are already taking place naturally. The organizations are doing planning, they are sourcing, they are making, they are delivering. So number one, what is new in it? This is a simply business of a company. So why we are overemphasizing on the supply chain management, and then what's the importance of that? So first, let me tell you that the one is we call it the traditional supply chain management, the way we are managing the businesses. Okay, But once we're talking about the supply chain management, properly once we're talking about supply chain management, so then we have to refer back to the definitions I have already told you, I've shared with you the definitions of International Institute of Supply Chain Management and APEX, that it's a designing and execution of the activities for the seamless and value-added integration. So it's not mere management, it is a management of the activities and integration of the stakeholders in a way that it's uplifting the product quality, it's reducing the cycle times and the time to markets, as well as these processes are reducing the cost associated with all these processes. So once we have to do that, so that is called the real supply chain management. Now the point is that why it's so much important, why the people are putting overemphasis on it. Number one, let me tell you that we are in fact till at least the COVID is not over. We are just in the process, or we are facing this COVID-19 scenario. The one of the fundamental aspect of the company which was able to keep the companies afloat or keep the companies drawn, that was the supply chain management. There, according to a research report, the 60% of the companies, those failed to meet the customers' expectations, those who in fact are facing the survivability problems, 60% of those companies were in fact weak on their supply chain management side. In other way, we can say that the failure or the lack of survivability of those companies is due to their weak supply chain management, right? And even you can see that every company, once the COVID breakdown was, it was a COVID pandemic, it was an announcement that the China is facing COVID, and there was a certain lockdowns happened in China. A number of companies were, they were taken aback. They didn't know that from where to source their raw materials, because they were entirely having their supply base, their supply chains, upstream supply chain in China. So that in fact has staggering impact upon their supply chain, and that disrupted their supply chains massively. And what happened, that the end customers were suffering. And even we could see that in the later part of, in the mid of last year, and even in the first 6 months of the 2020, that there were a lot of crises. Sometimes there was a tissue box crisis, sometimes there was sanitizers crisis, sometimes there were a lot of other food item related crisis. So one of the major reasons, of course, where the exuberant behavior of the people was one reason, but there was another and more important reason, was the weaker side of supply chain management of companies. So the COVID has in fact, it has shaken us from the root, and it has told us a lesson that we have to prepare a supply chain which is more resilient, which is more comprehensive, clear and visible, more integrated, and which is stronger than ever in order to face that kind of disruptions which have COVID, which could be even more incredible than the COVID. So number one thing. Number two, that now especially most of the companies have entered into a phase which we call it the monopolistic competition. The gone are those days when the companies were enjoying the monopolies. We could see that previously there was the monopoly situation. There were a few companies, so they were just playing on just having adding the features into the products. But now, due to the monopolistic competition, due to this ferocious kind of competition, obviously the companies do not have the liberty to enjoy the high profit margins. So they have to play on the cost. They have to reduce their cost, and to reduce the cost, you have to focus upon the process which is taking a lot of cost. So in fact, supply chain is something that where the companies have the potential, a massive potential to reduce their cost. So that's why companies have to look for improving their supply chains so they can reduce their cost. Number two. Number three, there has been a massive trend of the outsourcing. Business process is outsourcing. Once the companies were previously adopting extended model of the business. They were acquiring their customer side. They were even going for the backward integration, acquiring their supplier side, a fully long companies even which are, you know, that for example, if there's a company providing meat to the customer, so they were in fact just hatching all the required maybe hens or whatever, and then even they were producing their foods and all the process they were taking care themselves. But now the businesses have adopted another strategy, that is the business process outsourcing. It means that businesses are trying to focus upon their core activities. What is their main business? Pepsi's main business is not to make the bottles. Pepsi's main business is to make the syrup which is inside. So now the Pepsi has outsourced the bottling, or some other companies, and they are trying to make improve the products in which they have the core competencies. But the problem with the business process outsourcing is that once you do the business process outsourcing, it means that a company has a lesser control over those processes. So in order to keep those processes in control, or in order to to have those processes to be executed in the right way, the companies have to have a higher coordination, higher integration with those outsourced partners. So for that we need more focus on the supply chain management, right? Number 3. Now number 4, obviously I've told you that everybody knows that the market competition has increased. So once market competition has increased, the companies are coming up with the various type of strategies. One strategy could be, and could be a very vital strategy, that companies can innovate their supply chain. They can improve their supply chain, and they can make the customers out, make their competitors out of the market. Like Dell, what the Dell did. Dell is not producing computers, Dell is not having anything of their own, but what the Dell is doing, Dell is just an example of a business model which has come up with a new or innovative supply chain processes. That's it. So what the Dell did, the processes of the Dell, they innovated the supply chain processes. Those processes allowed to sell the computer direct to the customer, eliminating all of the intermediaries, reducing their cost massively. So of course, doing so, they in fact put their competitors out of competition. So it means that innovating the supply chain can also bring a lot of advantages to the companies in the perspective, in the way that it can provide you the blue ocean strategy. So supply chain could be a blue ocean strategy, one way. Then there is a mass customization. Previously, once there was, we were talking about the mass production in the days of the Fords producing one type of the black cars, just producing and selling everybody the same cars. But now the customer is more demanding. Even within the products, customer wants individual customization, or at least a segment of customers want different things as compared to the other segments. So this mass customization aspect needs supply chain to be fully integrated in order to get the right thing from the suppliers at the right time and could be delivered to the customer. So this is again an important point. Obviously, then coming forward is the globalization. I cannot overemphasize the importance of globalization. Even a normal shopkeeper, or even a person who is having a kind of ordinary shop, is connected with the suppliers, or even with the customers in abroad, and even buying or importing a lot of products from abroad, sourcing products from abroad and then selling to the local customers. It means that business at the lowest level even is taking advantage of the globalization and trying to connect with those customers which are with those suppliers or with those stakeholders which are cross border. So once we are going cross border, obviously it means that the depth and the length and the breadth of supply chain, it's going to be widened, and it needs to be managed in a more better way. It's in more important way, in a more strategic way. So that's again a case. Then there are the real-time commitments. I hope that you I'm not too fast and you are able to get it. Again, before real-time commitments, I just repeat that I am discussing the reasons for the importance of supply chain, that why it is important to discuss and why it's important to re-strategize, to focus and to improve the supply chains of a company. So now I'm talking about the real-time commitments. In fact, you know that previously it was happening, once the customers' pressures were less, the companies were taking a lot of days, even sometimes months or weeks, to deliver the products to the customers. But now what's happening? If you do not deliver the product then and there, so obviously you are not going to catch the customer in most of the cases, obviously not in all of the cases, number one. Number two, before promising whatever you want to deliver, you need to have the real-time visualization of your inventories and your capacities and all that. So it means that once we are doing the commitment with the customers, all of the stakeholders must be aware of our present scenarios, present positions in terms of what we can deliver. So for that, obviously, we have to effectively manage the supply chains. If we are effectively managing our inventory, so we'll know that how much inventory we are maintaining, what is our capacity to deliver a certain product, right? So those are the real-time commitments. Last but not the least, I'll be discussing that in the lecture 2 in detail. That's the bullwhip effect. The problem now the companies are facing, at one end, once they do not have the inventories, they face the back orders. For example, if the company is out of inventory, customer is demanding something, so it would be taking some time to give or to provide or to fulfill the customer's need. So this time can create problem for the company. Number two is, in order to avoid that kind of risk, companies are going to store, or they tend to store the products, or they tend to store the raw materials. Once they tend to store the raw materials, there comes the problem of bullwhip effects. If I elaborate it in a way that, for example, if a retailer is maintaining 10 units of an inventory of a product in anticipation that it could be, his market demand could be maybe 8 or 9 units, so I should have 1 unit more, but it has not shared with this wholesaler, so maybe wholesaler would be maintaining the 12 units balance in anticipation that my wholesaler would be buying 10 units, and then not sharing with the distributors. Distributor would be maintaining even a bigger amount in number, company would be producing even bigger. So now what is happening, that the actual demand is 8, maybe the company is maintaining 50 units. So this has created a kind of a bullwhip effect. The actual demand is 8, and what's being maintained is 50 units. So it means that either all of the cost would be shifted to the customer, and once there will be a lesser demand and excessive supply, all of the products would be there, and the cost have to bear to the company, and the company would be shifting to the wholesaler, and wholesaler would be shifting to the customer, to the retailer, and retailer to the customer. So this is, that at the end the customer would be suffering, and the product would be becoming lesser competitive, or the product would be, that would not be able to even compete to the competitor's product. That's why it remains important to have integration and effective supply chain management, right? So these are some of the points which are important for which we tend to focus on the supply chain. Now, very quickly, I'm going to tell to you that what is expected from a standard benchmark supply chain management. For example, if somebody tells that, okay, then what could be the ideal supply chain? What could be a supply chain which a company should dream to adopt of? There can be the various, that there can be the various of course opinions, but one of the widely celebrated experts' opinion is that a supply chain must have 3 elements in order to be the best supply chain. Number 1 is agility. Agility is basically the responsiveness of a supply chain, or it's the sharpness of a supply chain to meet the customer's demand, right? So if the ideal supply chain would be that the customer is saying that I want this, and the product is being delivered at the doorstep of the customer, right? That's the ideal thing. But obviously it cannot happen. Or for example, customer is looking for a product and the customer is getting the product. So sometime it happens that customers go to the market, but customer is not finding the product at maybe the market shelves. So it means that the ideal supply chain is which is minimizing that time. So if we are finding something every time on the market shelf, on the shelves of the retailer, so it means that the company is trying to minimize the time to market, and company is trying to be as agile as possible. So the same kind of practice could be with the corporate clients. So agility in a nutshell is the time to market is reduced. The time to market I can explain in a way that the customer is demanding a product, the time starts, and when the product is delivered to the product, time ends. So if the minimum this time would be, the agiler the supply chain would be. So it means that there's an inverse relationship. So the more we are reducing the supply chains, that time our agility is increasing. So number one is agility. So of course, agility in the supply chain can come when all of the suppliers, all of the players in a supply chain network or supply chain are very well integrated. They are very well coordinating with each other, and then that's how, for example, if you're demanding something, so immediately that product is coming to the customer, so that we can say that it is agile supply chain. Moving on, adaptability. Adaptability is that obviously in the marketplace, the companies tend to move ahead. The companies, maybe our suppliers are adopting a new technology. Our customers are adopting a new technology. Our suppliers are adopting the new trends. So adaptability, or the adaptability of a supply chain, is the extent to which a supply chain is adapting the contemporary business practices and developments which are its peers, which are its suppliers and customers are adopting. So adaptability of a supply chain is that to what extent we are able to adapt the latest trends and practices which are coming there into the market, right? So that is adaptability, and obviously those practices and those things are for the improvement of the business processes of the company, and for improving maybe the supply chain's efficiencies and effectiveness. The third one is the alignment. You know that sometimes we have adopted the latest technology, but we have misaligned ourselves. For example, a company has gone to adopt the blockchain-driven supply chain, but the company's customers and company suppliers, they are behind. So it means that we have missed our alignment. Either we have to change the supply base, or we have to improve the strength of our suppliers in terms of having that technology incorporated, or the same is for our customers. So it means that once we are adopting, if we are earlier in adopting technology and trends, we have to push the other factor, the other external stakeholders of the supply chain to adopt that, so we can be aligned, and the flow of material from the suppliers to customers could be, could be uninterrupted. Sometimes it happens that company gets misaligned because the supplier has stepped up. Like for example, Dell has adopted a modern system of inventory management and of supply chain management, but the suppliers of Dell has not gone toward that, right? So now the Dell is pushing to its suppliers that, okay, you have to adopt this new system in order to be with us. So it means that Dell is trying to get the suppliers up, to get them aligned with the Dell, so the flow of the product and service could be improved. The same is with the customers. So in a nutshell, if I say that the AAA supply chain, agility, adaptability and alignment, These are a part of, or these could be one of the ideal chains characteristics or the dimensions. It won't be wrong. So, putting other way, having agility and adaptability and alignment makes your supply chain improved. It makes your supply chain effective, efficient, seamless, and the supply chain which is a source of the value addition. So this was the last part of this lecture. Before moving forward further, just to repeat a sense, we started from giving a brief definition of what the supply chain management is, and then we discussed the various aspects of the supply chain. Obviously, we discussed about the supply chain process and what is the significance of the supply chain, and at last we discussed about the characteristics of the ideal supply chain, that could be the agility, adaptability, and alignment. Thank you so much.